So, do you know the truth that almost no one accepts? I really want you to think about that for a second. We live in a world that is just completely obsessed with greatness, right? We scroll through our feeds every single day and see the highlight reels of everyone's achievements. We see their perfect moments, their ultimate victories. But hidden right beneath all of that shiny polish is a reality that is deeply, deeply uncomfortable. And it's a reality that literally stops millions of people from ever reaching their true potential. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a fascinating and honestly completely transformational concept, the reality gap and the true price of excellence. We're going to unpack that massive tension between our deep human desire for immediate success and the messy, often embarrassing reality of actually getting there. By the time we wrap this up, you're going to view your own struggles, your doubts, and your learning curves in a completely different light. Okay, let's dive into this. Everyone admires excellence, but no one wants to pay the price to achieve it. It's a remarkably simple quote, but man, it cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? We all want the end result. We want the applause, the absolute mastery, the effortless performance. But when the universe actually hands us the bill, the real toll required to achieve that mastery, we desperately try to avoid it. Basically, we want the summit, but we completely reject the climb. Section 1. The illusion of excellence and what society actually sees. You see, the real reason we reject that climb is because we're constantly exposed to a highly dangerous illusion of success. Think about the stark contrast here. Society sees the confidence, the perfectly executed skills, the undeniable success. But society completely ignores the mistakes. It ignores that gut-wrenching feeling of being totally lost, the absolute clumsiness of trying something new. We almost never see the phase where our heroes were terrible at what they do, so we just kind of assume that phase never existed. Moving on to Section 2, the price of transformation and accepting the beginning. If we actually want to move from that clumsy phase to the confident phase, we have to talk about the currency that's required. The actual price of transformation is simply your willingness to accept being a beginner. It's the willingness to look clumsy and to have results that completely fail to reflect your true potential for a while. Think about this for a second. Most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they simply cannot tolerate the psychological bruising of not being immediately good at something. They want the confidence way before they've earned the experience. Which brings us to Section 3, the invisible period, where we build in the shadows. This invisible period is essentially the shadow realm of skill acquisition. You're putting in maximum effort, but you're seeing minimal external rewards. And during this gap, your brain absolutely plays tricks on you. You'll acutely realize your own mistakes. You'll see every single flaw. You'll feel like a total fraud, completely unqualified to be doing what you're doing. Why? Well, because when you start, your taste is highly developed, but your skills are not. You know exactly what good looks like, but your hands or your voice or your mind just can't produce it yet. That specific gap creates an intense, agonizing feeling of inadequacy. All right, Section 4. Action creates identity. Doing first, becoming later. Here is where we need to completely flip the script. The real sequence of human change is actually very simple. Step 1 is action. Step 2 is identity. It is literally never the other way around. Nobody is born naturally belonging or naturally prepared. The people you admire the most, they didn't wait until they felt confident to start acting. Their identity as a confident, capable person was born strictly and exclusively from taking action when they felt absolutely terrified. You do not wait to feel brave or disciplined. You act until you become it. First you do, and then you become. You can't just sit around waiting for the motivation fairy to tap you on the shoulder. You have to practice discipline when you're utterly unmotivated, and eventually that discipline weaves itself into your very identity. Action must always, always precede the feeling of readiness. Let's look at how this builds chronologically, because it's a real process. Phase 1 is pure effort. It's clunky, it's exhausting, it's hard. Phase 2 is resistance. That's your brain fighting the discomfort, screaming at you to stop. But if you push through that, you reach phase 3, fluidity. That's where things finally start to connect. And only at the very end of all of that do you reach phase 4, true confidence. You cannot skip these steps. You literally cannot buy phase 4 without paying the upfront cost of phases 1 and 2. Now, Section 5, your greatest enemy, which is actually the voice inside. When you're struggling through those early phases, you might think your biggest obstacle is a lack of resources or maybe the judgment of other people. It's not. True cancellation happens in the mind. Actually, just let that sink in for a moment.
long before society ever gets a chance to critique you, long before you ever face a public failure, you cancel yourself. Self-sabotage destroys infinitely more dreams than any outside critic ever could. We take ourselves out of the game before the whistle even blows.
And we do this through a deeply toxic inner voice. This voice tells you you aren't good enough. It whispers that you should be way further along by now. It brutally compares your messy starting point to someone else's polished peak. And worst of all, it takes a totally normal, necessary mistake and twists it into absolute proof of your inability. If you choose to believe this voice, you're going to remain trapped forever in the fear of being seen while you're still learning.
Section 6. The courage to continue and learning to live with discomfort.
So how do we break out of this trap? Well, it requires fundamentally reframing your relationship with fear. The reality is incredibly simple. If you want a calm life, hey, that's fine. Seek out constant comfort. Stay right where it's safe. But if you want to build something extraordinary, if you want an uncommon life, you must learn to live intimately with discomfort, with doubt, and with failure. You literally have to abandon the comfort zone because absolutely nothing grows there.
And this requires totally redefining courage. Courage is not the glamorous moment of winning. Courage is the gritty, quiet endurance to continue before the victory. It's waking up and doing the work without any guarantees of success, without any external validation, and without any tangible proof that it's going to pay off. It's the sheer willpower to stay in the messy process long enough for the transformation to finally click. Listen, if you're feeling doubt right now, just look at the reality of the extraordinary people you look up to. Every admired person was once deeply underestimated. Every strong person was once weak and vulnerable. Every incredibly confident speaker, leader, or artist you see was once entirely insecure about their craft. They are not aliens, guys. They just didn't abandon the process when they were still in those small, uncomfortable beginning stages. So I want you to burn this mental shift into your brain. The beginning is not proof that you can't do it. The clumsiness is not a stop sign. The beginning is simply objective proof that you have finally started. Embrace the mistakes. Embrace the stumbles. They are positive data points proving that you are officially in the arena and you are doing the work.
Which leaves us with one final destiny-defining question. Are you willing to look like a beginner to become exceptional? Are you willing to trade a little bit of short-term ego for long-term mastery? Because everything changes for the person who simply continues. Think about it.